Good afternoon at 2:05 on a Friday. Hope it's been treating you well. Wherever you got us locked into 790 AM and 104.7 FM KFGO. I'm Tyler Axe. This afternoon's live is just getting started here. Eric Johnson, our producer, and we're going to be with you until that 5 o'clock punch-out. Lots to get to today. First and foremost, you know the rules. As is tradition, you send them in, we'll play them. Rock Request Friday at 35270. That's the iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club. We're going to be talking with Todd Carlson over at the TAC venue that's in Dilworth because next Saturday, your town tour, the North Dakota Country Fest, is kicking off. We're going to tell you how you can get tickets. But since we're going to be talking about country music, we could do like we did a couple weeks ago, the whole Saturday Solid Gold show on a Friday afternoon, so we can go country themed if you want. If not, whatever. We'll play whatever you want anyway. Also today, Ginny Thomas, you just heard it during the CBS News Update. Clarence Thomas' wife, Supreme Court Justice. Yeah, she's texting Mark Meadows, Jared Kushner, members of Congress, and you got to overturn this election. We're going to talk about that and the ethics, the lack of integrity, all of that, and of course our usual Fargo Underground check-in. And we'll visit with Kyle Egger, Gone Outdoors. They're going to be coming up and more right after this KFGO News.
Good afternoon, 206, partly cloudy skies, 34 degrees. We're in a wind advisory. That'll be in effect until 7 p.m. I'm Madison Quinn. A boxer died a day after he required medical attention following a bout in Rapid City. That's LaRon Peoples of Dickinson, North Dakota, was a contender in the elite male division at the South Dakota Golden Gloves boxing show on Saturday. USA Boxing said Peoples required medical attention after his match and died Sunday at a local hospital. North Dakota Local Boxing Committee President Danny Prunetta offered all affiliated gyms in North Dakota to close for one day in his memory. Peoples boxed out of Dominion Boxing Gym in Dickinson. A study conducted by the North Dakota Association of Counties released yesterday surveyed sheriffs and chiefs of police around the state about recruitment and retention, an issue that has been persistent throughout the pandemic. Survey found that 60% of local law enforcement officials say they always or usually have a delay in filing vacant jobs, with 70% of positions staying open for more than a month. Cass County Sheriff Jesse Johnner says the outlook for hiring is improving.
Things have been looking up a little bit for us lately. We have been able to hire 8 people since my last report of where we were down 25. So certainly we're moving in the right direction. There for a while, we certainly were seeing more people leaving that were coming into our agency. But now we're kind of getting a turnaround on that, and we're starting to see more applicants.
Pay was the biggest factor for law enforcement workers leaving law enforcement jobs, according to the study. Johnner said the Cass County Commission has been helpful in addressing that problem.
Our commissioners have been good to us over the last year. I mean, I've gone and asked for an adjustment, particularly in the jail, because I felt like our salary was a little low in there, and that was some of the reasons why we were losing people. I asked them if that could be raised as far as getting people started off right away, if we could get them at a higher rate, and they worked with me to get that done, and so we were able to get a couple dollar raise when people first start, so that certainly helped.
According to the survey, most law enforcement are leaving their agency for another local department, highlighting the competition for these positions within the state and between different departments. North Dakota Democrats have chosen Melanie Monez to run for a 6-year Public Service Commission term on the November ballot. Monez is an enrolled member of the 3 affiliated tribes. She was nominated from the convention floor.
First and foremost, I am a mother. I am a longtime resident of North Dakota, and it's well within my nature and my traditional teachings to be a caretaker of the land in our communities. And community as a whole is what we think of first. So, as always, as I've been taught to decenter myself and think of others around me, I will do my best in this position, if you allow, to learn all that I can and to show up with a good heart, in a good way, and bring some change to North Dakota.
Monez will run to unseat current PSC Commissioner Julie Fedorchik. Minnesota Zoo announced their 12-year-old tiger died during a routine medical procedure Wednesday. Officials say the tiger, giving the name Putin, when born in the Czech Republic in 2009, suffered a cardiac failure at the Minnesota Zoo since 2015. Officials note he was key in tiger conservation efforts, siring multiple cubs, including one born at the Minnesota Zoo in 2017. Minnesota lawmakers are resurrecting an effort to redesign the state's flag and seal. Redesign proponents say the current flag is indistinct among other U.S. states and features imagery that is offensive to Native Americans. Legislation from Democratic Representative Mike Freeberg of Golden Valley and Peter Fisher of Maplewood would establish a 14-member redesign commission. Current flag is blue with the official state seal prominently displayed. Upper Sioux Tribal Chairman Kevin Jensvold says the seal on the flag fails to come to terms with Minnesota's history of violence against Native Americans. Taking a look on this Friday afternoon, the Kfgo Weather Center forecast. Rest of today, temperatures falling throughout this afternoon. Very windy. Could gust up to 50 miles an hour. Tonight, we'll see lows 15 to 20. North winds 20 to 30 miles an hour overnight. Tomorrow, sunny skies. Highs 25 to 30. Sunday, mostly sunny skies. High of 35. Currently 34 degrees in Fargo-Moorhead. We are under that wind advisory until 7 this evening. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
Well, we made it to the end of another work week. It is 2:11 on Friday afternoon. Boy, we got a lot to cover. Thanks for all the song requests that have been sent in already to the Ecclesons of North Dakota Text Club. That's 35270. Tradition, you send them, we play them. Eric Johnson will pull those out, and we'll get you into that weekend groove together right here on Afternoons Live. We had a short show yesterday. It got done at 4:30 because, hey, you know what? We had UND hockey. Boy, that was a game. Heartbreaking loss, and here's what I didn't understand. Now, you know, I'm a casual observer of hockey. Eric Johnson, my producer, not so much, and it kind of bleeds his stuff. The end of that third period in which you had, what, was it a goal? Was it not a goal? It seems so obvious by the official game clock that was not. What took so long for them to figure out, hey, no goal, we're going into, extra? I didn't get it.
From what I've read, the conversation was because you had essentially 3 time sources that were contradicting each other.
And how do you get 3 different times
right.
seconds off? I mean, this is make or break, but if you've got an official clock, is that not the official thing you go by?
Yes, but they probably were making so sometimes in certain stadiums, even the scoreboard isn't official time, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's different spaces for where the official time is. So in hockey, they have a red light and a green light behind the goal. Mm-hmm. Red light for when a goal is scored. Green light for when time has expired in the period. That
seems like it should be the opposite of how I would have put it in my mind, but okay.
Agreed. And based on that, it looked like it was a good goal. It looked like the puck was in the net before the green light went off. You go by ESPN's clock on TV, it looks like it's a good goal. It looks like it's good by about a half a second.
That one's way off.
Now, you go by the shot that has the official clock in the bottom and the overhead of the goal, which is the most valuable because in hockey, the entire puck has to be across the goal line before time expires.
My ultimate question is, though, that it still remains, if you have an official clock, meaning this is the one of which we officially go by and are officiating decisions, how in the world did it take 15 minutes?
The only other thing that I can think of is that in the tournament, they have refereeing crews from different conferences. So this is probably a crew from a conference that has no association with Albany, New York, and maybe was unfamiliar with how their video sources work there and which ones are the absolute official time. I don't know. It seemed straightforward, and that's what was the most confusing about it.
And that's what just frustrated the life out of me is, look, if you got this official clock here and if that's what you're going on, let's go on, let the boys have some rest, and then we'll pick up in just a little bit of time. And unfortunately, it just well,
Now,
that's ultimately what happened.
The other aspect of it is that UND ended up on a penalty out of that, so they could have been reviewing who was guilty
now,
of it.
If that's of all the explanations you laid before me right now, that's the one that I think makes the most sense. We'll continue the conversation. Unfortunately, UND losing last night. You'll probably hear more of that on Game On Hockey. Travis Dunn going to be back in the studio at 5:30. I want to take a quick pause here because I want to get our next guests on right away. I know how busy he is. Over at the TAC venue, if you have not been over there in Dilworth, get it on your calendars because next Saturday, the Your Town Tour by North Dakota Country Fest, well, he'll tell you about that right after this. To be next Saturday, right in the metro area. Dilworth, Minnesota, of course, over at the TAC, a great venue. If you have not been, you're going to find out why. Todd Carlson is the head honcho over at the TAC venue, and he joins us right now on Afternoons Live. Todd, appreciate your time. I know how busy you are. How you doing, man?
Doing well, yeah. Thank you for having me on.
Well, tell me first about this venue, because there's probably people that are listening right now that I've heard of it, but I haven't been. So give them a flavor of what they're missing out right now.
Yeah, so we started the venue back in 2018. We actually only had one show in 2018, right at the very end of the year. And we wanted to start a venue that really focused on the music. One of our taglines is where music comes first. And yeah, me and my wife, Kirsten, so Todd and Kirsten is what TAC stands for, is how we started it. And yeah, the goal is to put on high quality live entertainment. Music, we've done theater, we've had the opera in here, just a wide variety of things. The pandemic was a major setback, but we're still here, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, you weathered the storm, so to speak, and I mean, there's a reason why you guys are like in the top 5 in the whole area here in such a short amount of time when it comes to venues to go to concerts, and so congratulations on weathering the storm, but also being placed in that range to where 2018 is not that very long ago, and obviously you made large strides because you've had great shows coming through your doors with a lot of people to come over there and enjoy as well. Next Saturday is going to be one of those. This Your Town Tour, North Dakota Country Fest, it'll be taking place over there. Explain that to us if you can.
Yeah, so I was contacted by Indie Country Fest, which is an event that's held out in Western North Dakota in the summer. They wanted to promote that event by having a tour through North Dakota called Your Town Tour. So, I was contacted. I was very excited about it when I heard, and having David Lee Murphy and Julia Cole and Diamonds and Whiskey come in. It's just going to be a great event to showcase what these artists can do, in a little bit smaller of a venue to really get up close and personal, and we're really looking forward to it.
Well, I'm glad you got there, because when we talk about having that personal venue, there's something about having that approach to where you are pretty much right there. I mean, you're bumping elbows with some of these very talented artists, and it's all just a hop, skip, and a jump from where I'm sitting right now over in Dilworth here. Yeah, and you mentioned some of these big names that are coming through. This tour is great. I'm glad that they were able to come on over and join the TAC Music Venue. Again, that's going to be Saturday, April 2nd. That's next Saturday. 7 p.m. is when the doors open. You can get tickets at ndcountryfest.com. And I'll tell you more about that a little bit later on here. But you know what? We're getting into those summer days. People are wanting to get out, experience some of this. Do you have any other concerts you want to draw people's attention to? Because I'm on the tacmusicvenue.com right now. Great website, but use this opportunity to explain a little bit more to us if you could, Todd.
Yeah, like I said earlier, just a quick correction. Doors are at 6 o'clock, not 7 on the second. Music will start at 7, just to make that clear. But, just for example, this weekend, tonight we have an EDM show. A lot of people come out for those shows. We do some of them. Tomorrow night we have 3 rock bands, Walking Phoenix, Stovepipes, and Porchlight Orange playing. Sunday we have a Christian music night with two Christian rock bands playing. And then later on in April, we do have Sherwin Linton coming. A lot of people know that name around here. He's been a musician in the area for many, many years, doing a Johnny Cash story. Him and his wife will do the Johnny Cash thing. We've got a girl named Tom. They were voice winners coming in May. We got a lot of stuff on the calendar. It's good to be back at it here at full capacity to do some shows. Well,
and Todd, explain that process. I mean, are you going out and pitching this great venue to these artists, or are they coming to you because you know what, you've risen in notoriety, you've risen in the people's minds? I mean, people know about this TAC venue over there. Explain that process, because you got some big names, you got some big acts coming over there. How'd you make it work?
Yeah, so it's been an interesting learning process. Like back in 2019, I rarely have to reach out to try to fill dates and get acts to come in. I typically get emails and calls from literally all over the country of people that want to come through. We're a great spot for routing, so when bands are on their tours, they always want to fill their calendars with dates, and geographically we fit pretty nicely for that. So that was kind of a learning curve for me, as I thought I'd have to spend 4 hours a day calling all over the place trying to find acts, but they've kind of been coming my way. So it's been a learning curve on picking and choosing what may work. So. Well,
see, when we think about other careers, ones that you think, God, I would love to learn a little bit more. This is what you're doing kind of has me jealous. We're hosting all this music right in a place that we own, and we got all these big names. I'm not calling them, they're calling me. I mean, it just sounds like a great time, and obviously it's become a big success over there.
Yeah, it's been great. And kind of another great thing we use the venue for is we do have a lot of private events, as far as weddings and class reunions. And with the great stage and sound and lighting system we have, it works great for the dance part of those parties. People are really learning that it's a great venue, not just to have that reception, but then it's a high quality entertainment experience, that goes along with it.
So Todd, if people are listening out here and they perked up their ears because, hey, maybe we have this event over there, how would they go about reaching out? I mean, do they go to the website? Do they give you a call?
Yeah, either or. The probably easiest is to the website, just TAC, so TAK musicvenue.com, or not shy to give my cell phone number out. That's my business phone, so 701-261-2525 is my number, and you can call me anytime.
Todd, my man, I appreciate it. I know you got a thing coming up here in about 6 minutes. I'm going to let you go a little early, but I appreciate your time, and we'll probably see you over there next Saturday, all right?
Thank you so much, Tyler, for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yep, you take care. Todd Carlson, he is him and his wife over there at the TAC venue. Again, next Saturday. Doors open at 6. The music starts at 7. April 2nd. It's going to be the North Dakota Country Fest. You've heard about them. This is what, their third or fourth year already going into this? It's growing every year. But I think it was just last year they added this new Your Town tour, and that's what's kicking off. Dilworth, Minnesota, next Saturday. David Lee Murphy, some other Nashville recording artists. You got Julia Cole is going to be performing. It's going to be a great time for country music. If you want tickets, all you got to do is go to ndcountryfest.com. You can go there. You can do all the online purchase, so you can go to this. You can also make your purchase and reserve your spots for the actual North Dakota Country Fest. That's out at New Salem, North Dakota. Maybe you'll see Spencer Worth, the meat dude, while you're out there this year. I know he's been talking about hearing the music from his house since he's moved out there. I don't know that he's gone over there. We'll get him in the boots. We'll get him in the belt buckle and the cowboy hat. We'll get him out maybe this year. But again, it's ndcountryfest.com is how you can get tickets to next Saturday's show. And we'll probably tell you a little bit more about that as we do approach, because I know a number of us from KFGO are planning to spend that Saturday evening over there at the TAC Music venue. 237-5948 is the Laney studio line. You can also text into the Eye Consultants of North Dakota Text Club. That's 35270. Got some Loverboy coming your way by request. Also some Audio Slave. Yeah, we haven't played Audio Slave in quite some time. I had written down some good old country music. I'm talking Willie Whalen and the Boys. It feels like people are wanting some rock, so we can play some rock today.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. I'm up for whatever.
I'm probably going to fill in the gaps with some country also, because we had talked about that beforehand, and it got me in a groove.
Okay, well, you're going to be stuck with all our country music unless you keep sending in your rock requests throughout the day here. We got until 5 o'clock to be with you. Drive Time News, game on hockey a little bit later on. The Timberwolves taking on Dallas. I'm going to get you caught up with KFGO News. We'll check in with Rusty Halverson. When we come back, we've got to talk about the fact that a Supreme Court justice, his wife texting the White House, the chief of staff to the president, the son-in-law to the president, texting members of Congress, all trying to get them to overturn the 2020 election and her involvement in the January 6th event with Mark Meadows, Jared Kushner, and the fact that the Supreme Court justice himself, meaning Clarence Thomas, was the only one to vote against releasing records from that Trump White House to the January 6th committee. Tell me that doesn't stink. In fact, if you want to try 35270 is one way you can do that. 237-5948. I'm just getting started. There's a lot more details I'll provide to you about that stinky situation coming up in just a little bit. Also, we've got FargoUnderground.com. They're going to be joining us. So it's going to be, I believe, one of the Jorgensens, Erica Rapp, away today. We'll let you know about what's going on in downtown Fargo. $25 on a gift card to be on our way to you a little bit later on. It is Friday afternoon. I'm Tyler Axis, your host, and this is Afternoons Live right here on KFGO.
News and weather this hour brought to you by AirServe Esser Plumbing and Heating, the people you know and trust right in your community.
KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead, 34 degrees, partly cloudy skies. I'm Madison Quinn from the KFGO News Center. North Dakota boxer died Sunday following a bout in Rapid City. LaRon Peoples of Dickinson and Williston was a contender in the elite male division at the South Dakota Golden Gloves boxing show on Saturday. USA Boxing said Peoples required medical attention after his match and died Sunday at a local hospital. North Dakota Local Boxing Committee President Danny Prunetta ordered all affiliate gyms in North Dakota to close for one day in Peoples' memory on Monday. Peoples boxed out of Dominion Boxing Gym in Dickinson and Combat Fitness in Williston. A reminder, North Dakota has a move-over law that requires drivers to change lanes or slow down when approaching an emergency vehicle on the side of a road. Christine, North Dakota Fire Chief Randy Munson says he's amazed how many vehicles don't slow down or stop when passing emergency vehicles, just like the case this morning when Christine firefighters responded to an accident at about 5:30 on I-29. Emergency vehicles were off the roadway, but there was no slowdown.
75 miles an hour through an accident zone, semis, cars. We're just trying to help people out. It's limited law enforcement at that time of the morning, so we're out on the road. I realize semis have loads to take somewhere, and people got to get to work, but first responders are wanting to get to work also, and alive doing so.
Aside from the danger, if you fail to ignore the law, you can face a fine of $50 and 2 points added to your driving record. If you accumulate 12 points, North Dakota will suspend your driver's license, and if you're under 18, it only takes 6 points for your license to be suspended. 34 degrees in Fargo-Moorhead. This is KFGO News. Currently partly cloudy in Fargo-Moorhead, 34. You're listening to KFGO News. Study conducted by the North Dakota Association of Counties released yesterday surveyed sheriffs and chiefs of police around the state about recruitment and retention, an issue that has been persistent throughout the pandemic. Cass County Sheriff Jesse Johnner says the outlook for hiring is improving.
Things have been looking up a little bit for us lately. We have been able to hire 8 people since my last report of where we were down 25. So certainly we're moving in the right direction. There for a while, we certainly were seeing more people leaving that were coming into our agency. But now we're kind of getting a turnaround on that, and we're starting to see more applicants.
Johnner says that pre-pandemic, his department averaged around 9 openings at a time, so they're still digging out from the impacts of the last couple years. Well, the Minnesota DNR has reported that the 2 chicks on the Eagle Cam this year have hatched. First chick was hatched on Tuesday, March 22nd. Tuesday was one of the wettest days at the campsite, but that didn't stop the chick from emerging from the egg. Because of the cold, windy, and wet weather, the parents were sitting very tight and keeping the nest aerated in order to keep their young warm and dry. Also, the second egg hatched on Thursday, yesterday at about midnight, and has already had its first feeding. There's now a cache of food at the nest for feeding the 2 hungry chicks. You can check in with those chicks on the Minnesota DNR's YouTube page. KFGO Weather Center forecast for the rest of today. We'll see the temperatures slowly falling throughout the afternoon. Windy, gusts around 50 miles an hour. Again, that wind advisory in effect until 7 p.m. tonight. Saturday, sunny, high 25 to 30. Sunday, mostly sunny, high 35. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
Rusty Halverson joins me in the studio.
Yes,
Hi,
sir.
man.
Good afternoon,
Were you
Tyler.
keeping tabs of how many times Madison Quids was squeezing in the word chicks in that story?
Yeah.
Chicks, man.
Chicks, man. Check it out.
It's still back there.
There's another one.
Yeah, chicks. Yeah, all right. Well, it was noticeable. It seemed like you're having a lot of fun with that story, Maddie. Anyway, we'll move on.
Where are you doing, meow?
How are you saying meow?
That's an obscure reference.
That is very much an obscure. We've been doing a lot of obscure references before we even turned the microphone on. For example, you want to talk about kinks in the supply chain.
I'd like to talk about kinks in the supply chain, meow, and they continue to plague U.S. agricultural exports. Now, South Dakota Republican Congressman Dusty Johnson.
It's okay. We'll get there.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop now. No, he spoke on the topic during a Farmers for Free Trade webinar this week, and Johnson says agriculture lost a lot of business due to shipping troubles.
I think the numbers are that 21% of American ag sales last year were lost, or what they could have been were lost because of the supply chain crunch. This is a serious problem. We know because of history that you can lose these markets, you can lose these customers overnight, but it takes years to build them back up.
Meow, the Ocean Shipping Reform Act.
What's been going on in the newsroom before you guys got over
Rusty
here?
did have a tasty looking slice of chocolate cake earlier in the day.
Yeah,
So it's clearly been a party in the newsroom.
Yeah.
It was offered to me. It must be the sugar. I don't know.
yeah, sugar
Oh
high
my
in
goodness
here.
sakes. Anyway, the Ocean Shipping Reform Act now moving through Congress. And on a serious topic, yes, we're trying to iron out some of these kinks.
Kinks in that supply chain, which is very important. But
And that's what started us down
the
this
whole,
road.
I don't know how we derailed so quickly talking agriculture. Dusty Johnson, though, I do want to give him credit because he has been all over some of these issues.
Oh, absolutely.
South
Absolutely.
Dakota congressman down there. And
Yeah, in fact, the entire congressional delegations from the Dakotas and Minnesota, including Amy Klobuchar and others, they've been on top of this topic because we are located in the middle of North America. However, shipping is very important to our bottom line.
yeah, there's no question there. I can't
bet.
argue that. Appreciate it, Rusty. You come back next hour?
Meow.
Come cool, calm, collected next time, please.
Yep.
Well, all right. If you can't wait for that another hour, kfgo.com, you can click on that agriculture tab. Him and Sarah Heinrich, multi-award winning journalists in agriculture. CBS National News on the way. We're talking about Clarence Thomas, his wife, overturning an election. I've already got messages into the iConsultants of North Dakota text club. I'll give you more details right after this. Last night, in fact, I think it was shortly after I shut this microphone off, word broke from the Washington Post that Jeannie Thomas, Clarence Thomas' wife. Now, Clarence Thomas is probably a household name for many of you because he's one of 9 on the Supreme Court. Well, why is this making news now? Because Jeannie Thomas was, texting a lot of other guys. She's texting Mark Meadows. She was texting Jared Kushner. She was texting, Louis Gohmert. She was texting a lot of other guys. And the texts were riddled with selection. And so who's Mark Meadows? In case you forgot, the chief of staff to the president of the United States at that time, Donald Trump. Dozens of texts to Mark Meadows saying just outlandish things, conspiracies. But the bottom line was she said, you've got to do things to overturn this election. Got to help us out here. So you got the chief of staff being on the receiving end of text messages, 20-plus text messages from the wife of a Supreme Court justice, Jared Kushner. You don't forget who Jared Kushner is. He is the son-in-law to the president of the United States at that time, Donald Trump, and was advisor to a variety of things right in the White House. Text messages from the wife of a Supreme Court justice to Jared Kushner saying you got to do something about the election results. Text messages to Louis Gohmert. Now, who's he? He's a congressman, I think, from Texas. He, of course, is one that's been all running around about all these conspiracies as well. And these text messages from Jeannie Thomas are riddled with somehow oblivious that her husband is one of 9 in the entire country. That is a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court of the United States. So don't give me this whole elite nonsense when you're one of 9 to the Supreme Court. Now, Jeannie Thomas also was at the January 6th rally by her own admission. Again, that's the wife of a Supreme Court justice. Meadows, of course, helped plan that rally. But in all of this, you've got this now being revealed because of the January 6th committee. Something that a lot of you listening to me right now roll your eyes about, saying this is just unconstitutional or whatever else you want to throw at the wall. It is. It's been upheld. It's within their jurisdiction. Congressman Kelly Armstrong had an opportunity to sit on that, did not, because of the politics of it. But January 6th, the committee looking into the insurrection, and yes, it was an insurrection for all of you saying, no, it wasn't. No one's been arrested for insurrection. The seditious conspiracy, all that, those charges have been levied against people that broke into the Capitol. But now when you see that the wife of a Supreme Court justice is shooting out text messages to the White House and to Congress, okay, this is getting a little bit more muddy or something stinks a little bit more. Wait, there's more. Because this committee, well within their legal authority, was trying to pursue documents from the Trump White House, exchange communications, if you will. And that went all the way up to the Supreme Court, of which Jeannie Thomas's husband, Clarence Thomas, sits, one of 9. Clarence Thomas was the only one on that Supreme Court that voted against the release of this type of information, the information that shows his wife was texting these guys in the White House while he was in the Supreme Court. Now, you cannot tell me that Jeannie Thomas was sitting there texting the chief of staff to the president, the son-in-law to the president, members of Congress, but she didn't mention any of this to her husband, who was on the Supreme Court. So, even if Clarence Thomas did nothing wrong in his role as a Supreme Court justice, and if he somehow didn't have knowledge of this, which I highly doubt that he didn't have knowledge of his wife's involvement in something like this, is it enough to simply recuse himself in any, and I mean any, case that has to do with the election of 2020, Donald Trump's attempts on all of this? I mean, there is a clear right and there's a clear wrong in this situation, in my opinion, for Clarence Thomas. He cannot have any say on anything related to those two topics because of how close this has got. So, I mean, this basically appears to me, now you can tell me if you disagree by all means by calling or texting, that there has been now members of all three branches of the federal government that were willing or at least seeking to overturn the legitimate election of 2020. Isn't that a little troubling to you? 237-5948, that's the Laney studio line. You can text in to the iConsultants of North Dakota text club 35270. Clarence Thomas knew his wife was texting the White House multiple times saying, you have to do something to keep Donald Trump in this White House. You've got to overturn this election. And he voted against it, letting you know that his wife was doing this. That stinks. I'll come back to these messages in already. The iConsultants of North Dakota text club. I got to get you this weather update from Too Tall Tom Szymanski. Actually, Eric Johnson will be there. I do believe Too Tall was on vacation today. We'll wrap up the first hour of Afternoons Live next. Top of the hour, those rock requests. This one, Audio Slave, brought to you by your fellow listeners. All you got to do is text in what you want to hear. 35270, iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club. Riddled between the rock requests are your thoughts on this whole Jeannie Thomas sending text messages to the White House and Congress saying, you got to overturn this thing. I mean, riddled with conspiracy theories. Here, just let me read one of Jeannie Thomas's messages for you. Biden crime family and ballot fraud co-conspirators, in parentheses, elected officials, bureaucrats, social media, censorship mongers, fake stream media reporters, etc., are being arrested and detained for ballot fraud right now and over coming days, and will be living in barges off of Gitmo to face military tribunals for sedition. That is the wife of a Supreme Court justice texting Mark Meadows, the chief of staff, to the President of the United States. And don't tell me he didn't know that she was involved in this, because they've been out on the town. They've been at speaking engagements all over the country for the same. That's one of the reasons why they in their words, say that brought them together, because they've got these shared interests. They go to all these same speaking things together. They spend all this time together. There's no way he did not know that she was texting the White House chief of staff to do this. You cannot convince me otherwise. You can try. Messages. Tyler, unbelievable that Thomas didn't recuse himself from that case. Obviously needs to be standards put in place now for the Supreme Court. The same that are for other judges regarding conflicts of interest. It's like Trump before he broke every norm. We didn't know we needed rules in writing for a president either. It now makes more distrust than ever about this Supreme Court being objective. That last part is spot on. You know, everyone's the Supreme Court's being politicized. You know who wrote a whole opinion on that? For I don't remember which outlet it was, if it was the Washington Post or if it was New York Times or some conservative publication. Clarence Thomas, a couple years ago, talked about this. Meanwhile, he and his wife are at these speaking engagements that are a very far right conservative engagements. And now you have this. So when you think about the integrity of the Supreme Court itself, it demands more than just Clarence Thomas's recusal in this. I mean, he didn't put out a reason why he voted against the release of Trump White House documents to the January 6th committee. Probably because he knew, as I was telling you, that his wife would have been caught up in the mix because she was texting. Put it in writing. It'll come out, and it did. So if he cares about the court at all, he's got to, at the bare minimum, recuse himself. And then put out a statement as to why he voted against that. And, hope that it's believable. Because right now, the integrity of his character because of this is shoddy as well. More message, Tyler, major conflict of interest. Agreed. That's the conflict of interest in of itself here is, just leaps and bounds above, quite frankly, anything else that I can think of in regards to the Supreme Court. Tyler, will Thomas testify under oath? What is the process to impeach a Supreme Court justice? They unlikely will testify under oath. Now, this is the other, thing about this situation is you have got this committee. They've got subpoena powers. They can, if you're not willing to voluntarily come and speak before them, can issue the subpoena, force you to do it. They've done that a couple of times, and you know what? They've gotten laughed at, and they've done nothing afterwards. What good is getting the headline out there saying, hey, we subpoenaed Mark Meadows, the same guy that was on the receiving end of the text messages from the Supreme Court justice's wife. If they don't show up and if you don't do anything about it, that subpoena means nothing. If you're not going to force the testimony under oath, this means nothing. So it's time to maybe straighten up, puff that chest out a little bit, and exercise what authority you have rightfully got to get to the bottom of this. Will they willingly do it? No, not a chance. Not doubt it. What the process is to remove a Supreme Court justice, I don't know that there are mechanisms really that have, none that have ever been used before. I'm not sure exactly how that process goes. I highly doubt that they would go down that either because, you know what? They don't have a spine to do it. Even the bare minimum to entice and to get the information that I think we are owed, they're not willing to do that. This is a prime example as to why they need to start exercising what is rightfully theirs as a member of Congress, as a separate but equal branch, and they're not doing it. And it's a failure for all of us as we're getting this trickling out slowly here. Bottom line is, he knew that his wife was doing this, and yet he still voted to prevent the release of this. He's got this on his hands, just like his wife does as well. 237-5948. Thomas should retire effective immediately, comes into the Eye Consultants of North Dakota Text Club. I'm not going to argue that. Should. He won't. We'll come back. We can have this conversation. We got an open format on a Friday afternoon, typically trying to avoid those heavy subjects because, you just want to get out of work. Couldn't avoid this one today. Whatever you want to get off your chest this whole next half hour, I'm here for you. I'm Tyler Axedis. You got it locked into Afternoons Live on 790 AM, 104.7 FM, and, of course, worldwide at kfgo.com. Now, if you were at the Fargo Dome on Saturday, along with us, you heard Elton John say, hey, on Friday I'm turning 75, and then he used some words I don't know if I can really say on these airwaves without getting a slap on the wrist. So, his birthday today, 75 years young, Elton John. Farewell to the Yellow Brick Road Tour. I already gave you my thoughts on my experience. Still was a hell of a performance. I won't have to get back to that. Also on this date, The Outsiders was released March 25th, 1983. Can you name a bigger star-studded collaboration? You think about who is it? Emilio Estevez. We've got Tom Cruise. We've got Patrick Swayze. Who am I missing? Was the Karate Kid in there whose name I can't
Ralph
remember?
Macchio. Leif Garrett, I think, was in that.
Really?
I could be wrong about that.
That's the question mark.
The only one that came to mind immediately was the Oceans reboot movies.
Okay. There's one more here. He was on, there's something about Mary. I can't think of his name. 35270. He was the investigator. He was also in The Outsiders, if I recall. You help me out there. Star-studded. We'll come back to all your messages right after this KFGO news.
Partly cloudy conditions, 34 degrees in Fargo-Moorhead, and a windy day. Wind advisory in effect until 7 this evening. I'm Madison Quinn. Breckenridge Police and Wilkin County Sheriff's Office have provided updated information about a reported domestic violence call Wednesday morning at a Breckenridge home that left a man dead of a gunshot wound. Police Chief Chris Carlgard says an altercation occurred between a husband and wife at the residence that led to officers finding 28-year-old male dead inside his home. Investigators determined that the male died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Breckenridge Police Department were assisted by the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and the Wilkin County Sheriff's Office. No one was arrested during the incident, and there was no threat to the public. Body was taken to the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's Office for an autopsy. A North Dakota boxer died Sunday following a bout in Rapid City. LaRon Peoples of Dickinson and Williston was a contender in the elite male division at the South Dakota Golden Gloves boxing show on Saturday. USA Boxing said Peoples required medical attention after his match and died Sunday at a local hospital. North Dakota Local Boxing Committee President Danny Prunetta ordered all affiliate gyms in North Dakota to close for one day in Peoples' memory. Peoples boxed out of the Dominion Boxing Gym in Dickinson and Combat Fitness in Williston. A Fargo woman faces 3 felony charges, including reckless endangerment and domestic violence, and fleeing after a disturbance Tuesday morning. Police were called to the 1400 block of 18th Avenue South, and the victim identified the suspect involved as Dania Manning of Fargo. She fled as police arrived, but was later tracked down in the 300 block of 30th Avenue South. Manning was arrested on unrelated warrants and taken to the Cass County Jail. Well, as members of the state's Ukrainian community watched in the gallery, the Minnesota House, on a unanimous vote Thursday afternoon, passed a bill requiring the state divest its holdings in entities in Russia and Belarus, sending the measure to the state Senate, which will likely be approved early next week. The bill sponsors Minneapolis Democrat Sidney Jordan.
The siege of Kyiv is now the largest urban battle since World War II. The port city of Mariupol has been destroyed. Our screens have been filled with images of bombed maternity hospitals, slain families, and frantic refugees lined up to enter other countries.
The legislation also prohibits state agencies from having contracts with companies in Russia and Belarus, codifying a similar executive order by Governor Tim Walz. North Dakota Democrats have endorsed Bismarck attorney Fenton Dooley for Agriculture Commissioner. Dooley has been an environmental activist who has been pushing the issue of how oil development has poisoned some soils in the Williston Basin, but he says he's running to start the conversation with current Ag Commissioner Doug Goring.
This is my last hurrah. And I believe that I'll handle myself very well in any discussion of this issue. And I'm ready to say, Mr. Secretary of Agriculture likely to be back again. If he only learns a little bit from this discussion, I'll be content. I don't plan on dislodging him.
Goring is seeking that next term. Wind advisory in effect until 7 this evening. KFGO Weather Center forecast rest of today. Temperatures falling throughout the afternoon. Windy, gusts up to 50 Tonight, overnight low 15 to 20, mostly clear. Saturday, sunny skies, high of 25 to 30. And Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 35. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
I want to turn this one up just a little bit on a Friday afternoon. When the trumpet kicks in, it'll make you feel good.
Oh, this is a backroads cruising song for sure. Windows down.
Not today, though. You don't want those windows down today.
Well, if you go the right direction, it might feel like a calm day outside.
This isn't a song request, but I'll tell you why we're playing St. Elmo's Fire now by John Parr. Because I talked about The Outsiders was released on this date. Sorry, I stepped all over the trumpet there. My apologies. They don't come back. Somebody said St. Elmo's Fire was pretty star-studded as well. Same with this song. I give it 5 stars. Just a banger. Thanks for sending. Okay, St. Elmo's Fire was pretty star-studded movie as well. I'll give you that. Somebody else sends in Red Dawn, All Stars. Okay, yes, correct. And if you want to keep the competition going, the Outsiders, they didn't know it at the time that all these young actors were going to grow up and be, Tom Cruise, that he was going to be a household name. Patrick Swayze was going to be a household name. Emilio Estevez was going to be a household name. Not so much now. Is Emilio Estevez still even acting right now?
They rebooted The Mighty Ducks as a series, and I think he was associated with it somehow, but I don't know if he was acting or directing or producing.
I think he didn't watch it, but I think I remember seeing a photo online with him. And I want to thank everyone else that said, hey, are you talking about Matt Dillon? Yes, that's the other name. The only thing, I just remember him from There's Something About Mary and the Stupid Teeth. A great movie. When I talk about movies that if you see it on when you're flipping through the guide that you stop and watch, Something About Mary is one of them for me as well. And speaking of Emilio Estevez, Young Guns, number 1, not number 2. Don't even bother putting number 2 of Young Guns on AMC, TMC, EMT. I don't care. Don't put it. Young Guns, dude, should have never have happened. Just let the first one lie where it was. Other messages, because it's Elton John's birthday, and I said if you were at the concert on Saturday, he told you, look, on Friday I'm turning 75. Tyler, Elton John, and Bob Seger, 2 of the greatest concerts I've ever seen. Without the Fargo-Dome, we wouldn't have this entertainment here. For 2 old-timers, they knocked it out of the park. Take care, have a good week, and enjoy your show. Well, thank you. I appreciate you listening to the show. I am full of regrets that I didn't go to Bob Seger. I didn't go to him here. I went, I think it was at the same time I went to Fleetwood Mac down in Sioux Falls. That was a great concert. Bob Seger was around the corner there, and I should have. We all have the regretted concert that we should have. We know we should have gone to, and then we didn't. Bob Seger is towards the top for me. Tyler, the Breakfast Club. Yeah, I can't dispute that either. Eric threw out Ocean's 11. But, all right, what's the star-studded movie for you? The one how'd they get all these names? There's one that's on Netflix that's what, Don't Look Up?
Oh, yeah, that's got a crazy big cast.
I have not watched.
What is the 70s goofball Cannonball Run?
Is it Cannonball Run?
That one's got a pretty crazy cast of 70s actors.
So, see, and here's the thing, because there are movies in which you got cameos. I can think of a Jay and Silent Bob. I think it Strikes Back. You got Will Ferrell. There's Matt Damon in there. You got Ben Affleck. I mean, at the time, these guys were the stars. I would say some of them still are. But it was just that cameo appearance. Does that really count as being star-studded? That's a question that I don't have an answer to, but
Where when you look at Outsiders, Red Dawn, these movies, these are the main characters we're talking about.
Do I dare say? No, I don't. I'll say The Rock. You got Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, who's got a bit of a comeback coming here. And if I just would have went and took his sound guy up on his offer to party when we're up in Alaska, I could have partied with Nick Cage.
How about
50 Cent?
How about Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs?
That's a good one. Very good one. Emilio came back to be the coach for the Ducks, but season 2, Josh Duhamel will be the coach. Why is Josh Duhamel everywhere? Why? I mean, okay, yep, he's a Minot guy. I'm supposed to be supporting him in everything he does, but everywhere. Emilio Estevez is not returning, but Josh Duhamel has got your back. How many more legendary commercials are we going to have with Josh Duhamel here? Are we still paying him a couple $1 million to do like 2 commercials and blast that everywhere?
Well, who else are we going to
That's a great question. I don't know.
Can we get some of that money to Marnie Gellner? She's a Minot girl, too.
She's rocking it down in the Twin Cities. Twins, you got the Timberwolves. She's all over the place. So we would get the Minneapolis market. I don't know. Who else would it be? I mean, do you go way back in time? Lawrence Welk?
Sure.
I mean, there's a
Wiz Khalifa lived at the Air Force Base for a while.
You don't get to. They don't get to be. Hey, they're one of us. No, they're not. If they, we spent a summer at the Minot Air Force Base. That does not count as being from North Dakota. Okay, got that off my chest. The Great Escape. There's a cast. The Poseidon Adventure. Never even heard of that one. I'll have to look that up on the Google as I get you caught up with some of these ads here. Speaking of ads, you're going to hear hopefully in the next little bit here. If you haven't done so yet, 35270, the iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club, where you're filling in all these with movies and your thoughts on the Supreme Court situation. I will get back to that. If you text the word meat to that, you get entered into our meat raffle that's taking place every Tuesday on It Takes Two, every Thursday, right here on Afternoons Live. Yesterday, we did our first 3 drawings. We're talking about $150 worth of meat 2 times a week. I want to thank or congratulate Dustin Machenbacher again from Lidgerwood. You got Barb Ripley from Pelican Rapids and John Graves from Moorhead. They were the winners this week. If you're registered and you did not get your name called, you do not have to re-register. Only register once, and you're in the drawing for the entirety of our meat raffle series, which is going to culminate in a party. April 21st, get your calendars out, put it down. We're going to be over at Bar 9 for a meat raffle and a chance for you to win that Traeger grill. I want to thank Bar 9 and Barnesville Grocery for allowing us to do a meat raffle right here on KFGO. provided any other explanation as to any reason on this, but he cannot, to keep integrity of the general public to the Supreme Court itself, he cannot have any say or be anywhere near any other potential case about the 2020 election or records for the Donald Trump presidency, period. 35270, that's the iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club. You can call me on the Laney studio line and try to say, well, look, there's nothing nefarious. There's nothing wrong. You're going to have an uphill battle with me, but you can try. Laney studio line is 237-5948. In fact, keep that number in mind because in a little bit, we're going to head to downtown Fargo. It is Friday, FargoUnderground.com. Well, you know, we got Eric Rapp, we got John and Maren Jorgensen. Maren's going to be joining us today to tell you about all the things you can put on your calendar to enjoy tonight, Saturday, Sunday, and downtown Fargo. That is brought to you by the Boiler Room of downtown Fargo. You go over there for the Scotch eggs. I'm buying for one of you at $25 and a gift card, as always. Going to be sent from us to you. A little bit later on, Gone Outdoors is on Saturday morning. We got Kyle Eggery today. He'll tell you what you can expect tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. I saw on Fox News, actually, and this is what I want to ask them, a paddlefish, 140 pounds. I don't know if Kyle or Scott have ever gone over all paddlefish now in western North Dakota. We'll have that. A triple play will ease you into the drive time news. Then Game On Hockey. Travis Dunn will be back in the studio. I know he was in here earlier, but he's going to have to break down that loss. Notre Dame beating UND, the Fighting Hawks, in hockey last night. You heard that right here on KFGO. Timberwolves, NBA, they're taking on Dallas. That's coming up a little bit later on. I'm Tyler Axis, your host. Eric Johnson's our producer. Got another hour and a half with you right here on Afternoons Live. Don't go anywhere.
News weather this hour brought to you by Otter Tail Power Company, positively impacting communities they serve for more than a century.
KFGO News, it's 34 degrees, mostly cloudy and still quite windy in Fargo-Moorhead. We're still under that wind advisory until 7 p.m. this evening. I'm Ryan Jenke. Breckenridge Police and the Wilkin County Sheriff's Department have provided updated information about a reported domestic violence call Wednesday morning at a Breckenridge home. Police Chief Chris Karlgaard says an altercation occurred between a husband and wife at their residence. Officers found a 28-year-old male dead inside his home. Investigators determined that the male died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. No one was arrested during the incident, and there is no threat to the public. The body was taken to the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's office for an autopsy. A study conducted by the North Dakota Association of Counties released yesterday surveyed sheriffs and chiefs of police around the state about recruitment and retention, an issue that has been persistent throughout the pandemic. The survey found that 60% of local law enforcement officials say they always or usually have a delay in filling job vacancies, with 70% of positions staying open for more than a month. Cass County Sheriff Jesse Johners says the outlook for hiring is improving.
Things have been looking up a little bit for us lately. We have been able to hire 8 people since my last report of where we were down 25. So certainly we're moving in the right direction. There for a while, we certainly were seeing more people leaving that were coming into our agency. But now we're kind of getting a turnaround on that, and we're starting to see more applicants.
Pay was the biggest factor for law enforcement workers leaving law enforcement jobs, according to the study. Johnner said the Cass County Commission has been helpful in addressing that problem.
Our commissioners have been good to us over the last year. I mean, I've gone and asked for an adjustment, particularly in the jail, because I felt like our salary was a little low in there, and that was some of the reasons why we were losing people. I asked them if that could be raised as far as getting people started off right away, if we could get them at a higher rate, and they worked with me to get that done, and so we were able to get a couple dollar raise when people first start, so that certainly helped.
According to the survey, most law enforcement are leaving their agency for another local department, highlighting the competition for these positions within the state and between departments. You're listening to KFGO News. .34 degrees, mostly cloudy and windy in Fargo-Moorhead. This is KFGO News. A North Dakota boxer died Sunday following a bout in Rapid City. Laren Peoples of Dickinson and Williston was a contender in the elite male division at the South Dakota Golden Gloves boxing show on Saturday. USA Boxing said Peoples required medical attention after his match and died Sunday at a local hospital. North Dakota Local Boxing Committee President Danny Prunita ordered all affiliated gyms in North Dakota to close for one day in Peoples' memory. Peoples boxed out of the Dominion Boxing Gym in Dickinson and Combat Fitness in Williston. The South Dakota Department of Health has hired a New York-based software company to help monitor the flow of marijuana in the state's legal medical marijuana market. The contract with Metric was finalized this month. Metric will use radio frequency identification to track cannabis from seed to sale. The company uses software to collect data from growers, testers, and distributors. The data is then used by state regulators to ensure program rules are being followed. A reminder that North Dakota has a move-over law that requires drivers to change lanes or slow down when approaching an emergency vehicle on the side of the road. Christine, North Dakota Fire Chief Randy Munson says he's amazed how many vehicles don't slow down or stop when passing emergency vehicles, just like the case this morning when Christine firefighters responded to an incident at around 5:30 on I-29. The emergency vehicles were off the roadway, but there was still no slowdown.
75 miles an hour through an accident zone, semis, cars. We're just trying to help people out. It's limited law enforcement at that time of the morning, so we're out on the road. I realize semis have loads to take somewhere, and people got to get to work, but first responders are wanting to get to work also, and alive doing so.
Aside from the danger, if you fail to ignore the law, you can face a fine of $50 and 2 points added to your driving record. If you accumulate 12 points, North Dakota will suspend your driver's license, and if you're under 18, it takes 6 points for your license to be suspended. Taking a look at the KFGO weather forecast For the rest of today, windy. We still have that wind advisory in effect until 7 this evening. Temperatures falling through the afternoon. Northwest winds 30 to 40 miles per hour with gusts to around 50. Tonight, mostly clear. Lows 15 to 20 and windy. North winds 20 to 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny. Highs 25 to 30. Tomorrow night, mostly clear. Lows 10 to 15. And then on Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 35. Ryan Janke, News Radio, KFGO.
No, it's not the Solid Gold Show. It's not quite Saturday yet.
Not quite.
We're getting there, though.
But this is a song you would hear.
Yeah, by request, even.
Yeah.
That's a Cash. That song's so good.
Yeah, a really good song.
Thanks for picking it.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
Composed and all, as I requested of
you. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we play that song because you've got the Solid Gold Show when it comes to country music tunes on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. On Sunday mornings, some folks may not know, many folks do know, we've got the Agribusiness Show, the Agribiz Show that we host during the 7 o'clock hour, sharing news of agriculture from the past week. And I host that show, and I wanted to talk about this weekend's upcoming show because Commodity Classic, we talked with a lot of people on the trade show floor down there, and a lot of innovation on display at Commodity Classic at the trade show floor. And the farmers that show up, they're not tire kickers. They're the kind of guys that want to make a decision for the year ahead. And so we've got a lot of audio from our recent trip to New Orleans for Commodity Classic that will be in this Sunday's Agribiz show during the 7 o'clock hour after the local news, and it will also be on our podcast for the Growing Harvest Ag Network. Go to kfgo.com, and you can catch up if you miss it on Sunday morning, in case you're out there smelling chicken frying.
When Sunday morning is coming out, 7 a.m. might be a little early for some, but not for all.
Not for all. Some folks are maybe getting ready for church.
Exactly.
Yep.
And why not be listening to good old KFGO and Rusty Halverson?
Exactly. And several topics. We talked with Rick Snyder, Vice President of Business Development with Farm Op Capital. They're based in St. Paul. They try and help producers finance their operations for the future. And farmers that are young farmers, Tyler, maybe some farmers that rent a lot of land, they may have some off-farm income, and they try and just help out when maybe the normal situation wouldn't apply for many other lenders. That's just one of the folks. And Farm Op Capital, full disclosure, they are an allied industry partner and a sponsor of KFGO. So we talked with them. Also, when it comes to technology, we talked a little bit with Ben Voss, Director of Sales for Raven Technology based in Sioux Falls. They've got a really neat thing, and I think we talked about it briefly while I was down in New Orleans. They've got new smart spraying technology where they have cameras, infrared lighting, so you can do this dusk, daylight, nighttime, where the cameras identify specific weeds, and then the spray nozzles along the boom will only spray where they see the little weeds.
Technology is a beautiful thing.
Oh, man. And they've only got about 10 of these outfits in operation around the world. Europe, South America, North America, only about 10 of these outfits. But this is the cutting-edge stuff of what's coming down the pipeline.
Then you're going to learn more about that Sunday morning when it's coming down, and you're listening to the Agribusiness Show with host Rusty Halverson.
Yep, that's me.
Well, you have a good weekend, man. I'll be listening on Sunday morning.
Thank you, Meow.
Get out of here with that. What's gotten into you today?
I don't know.
Rusty Halverson, he's a true professional, I assure you. You can find out more at kfgo.com. You'll be listening on Sunday for proof. And then, of course, you can go to kfgo.com, click on that agriculture tab. Him and Sarah Heinrich, multi-award-winning journalists of agriculture. CBS National News headlines when we come back. Mar and Jorgensen, we're heading to downtown Fargo. Brought to you by the Boiler Room next.
it's a nice, relaxing show just to kind of take your time. So, again, all weekend. So then tonight, if you like singing, but you don't get getting in front of that mic in front of everybody, head to the Troll Lounge for the Unkaraoke. Starts at 7:30, goes till 10:30. The lineup is already picked up for you. You sit down and just sing the songs that are played on the screen for you.
So let's say, Maren, that, okay, well, I really have a song that I want to sing, but I don't want to be in front of people. Do you take requests, or is it, nope, we've got it, this is what you're singing for us tonight? Explain the process to me.
Well, we have a lineup that we pick songs.
Okay.
We have 100 songs picked in there. But, I guess if you ask us really, really nice, and it's a song we like, we might play it for you.
And if you smile big, and if you maybe leave a buck or two for a tip, that goes a long ways.
Yeah, you never know. You might get a request.
Troll Lounge.
But that's again.
Yeah, Troll Lounge. I've seen also, you guys are looking to be hiring too. So if you want to give a plug out there.
Yeah, we are. Fun place to be.
Yeah.
But wrap up your night. You can also head over to the Aquarium Emo Nights at 9:00 doors, 10 music. $10, 21 plus.
Do you want to
Night
repeat
at the
that?
Aquarium.
Yeah, you want to repeat what type of night? Because my producer was busy, and I think he's got to clear his schedule.
Eric needs to know. It's emo night, Eric.
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful.
Get your mascara, get the studded belt, get ready. It's time to go start singing those sad songs.
I do still have a studded belt somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere.
Yeah.
They'll be waiting for you at 9:00, Eric.
Awesome.
Very good. So all you KFGO listeners, if you want to see emo music and listen along with our producer, you know where to go tonight. What else is going on this week, Maren?
So Saturday, head over to Veterans Memorial Arena for Topper's 62nd Annual Car Show. You can find that Saturday 9 to 7 and Sunday 9 to 7.
Lots of time to go.
That's always a good time.
Don't kick the tires, but just look. Yeah, be a good time.
Just look.
Yeah.
Also tomorrow at TAC, Walking Phoenix, Stovepipes with Porch Light, all age show, 7:30 to 10:30, $13 at the door.
That ain't bad. We had Todd Carlson on earlier today about the tacky. He gave a shout out to that. Next Saturday as well, there's going to be a Your Town tour, but that's next week. We're talking about this weekend.
Yeah, they have good shows. I only have one thing for you on Sunday. The Moorhead Sports Center. It's the Moorhead Ice Show. Great little figure skating you can do from 1 to 5. Tickets can be purchased at the door. Always a great time. Always, never forget about that sports center. They always have really good things going on there too for all ages. So, on Sunday, I know it's a little cooler outside, but it's a great time. Get down, see what's downtown, check out those stores. We all haven't been out for a long time, so let's get out and see what else we can do when it warms up a little bit and get on those porches.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
And patios.
I'm waiting.
We'll get there.
Yeah, it's coming. It's just not going to be this weekend or maybe next week, but it's on its way.
Nope.
Maren,
but they're waiting for us.
Yeah, they are, no doubt. Always appreciate your time. You have a good weekend. We'll chat again soon, all right?
Yeah. Thanks. You too, Tyler.
All right. Thank you. Maren Jorgensen, FargoUnderground.com. You can go there, check out things, whether it's this weekend or throughout next week. That segment, you know what? Brought to you by the Boiler Room. I'd encourage you to go check out. They've got a patio, too, when it does get warmer out in the backside there, but, don't have to wait for the patio. You can go there this weekend on us. If you call 237-5948 and your caller number 8, to 237-5948. You got $25 on a gift card. Go get those Scotch eggs. Go have a beverage on Afternoons Live. In the meantime, we're going to get you that weather update. Eric Johnson will take care of that. We'll wrap up the second hour of Afternoons Live next. I mean, if you're going to think real hard about where you've been, and the best you can come up with is I fell asleep in the hammock in the yard while your wife is there, boy.
Yeah, Colin Ray, not great at the stories.
No, well, I was sleeping in the hammock in the yard. Well, John Wayne got a hammock. John, speaking of, congratulations, you got the $25 gift card. That's always bothered me about that song. Say, the wife asked where I've been. Well, I was in the yard. No, I was peering. I was looking everywhere for you. You don't think I looked out in the yard? Specifically the hammock where you said you were sleeping? Come on, Colin Ray.
Yeah, but then he changes the story. Him and the boys playing cards all night.
Well,
wasn't no hanky-panky.
Start there next time, man. I'm going to get back to the text club. Sometimes these songs, these stories just don't make sense. 35270. Consultants of North Dakota Text Club. This is the Clarence Thomas. Okay, I'll tie a bow on this. Then we're going to talk gone outdoors. I want to talk about paddle fishing. 140-pound paddlefish caught. Talked to Kyle Agri about that. Tyler, the left has hated and tried to get Clarence Thomas for 30 years. It's been fun to watch. Have they got a chance to get something to stick this time? Maybe. We will see, but I doubt it. I think you're right. I doubt it. This, as much as it stinks, because, again, I will say it again, he knew damn well that his wife was texting the White House chief of staff trying to overturn an election. There's a reason why he was the only no vote in trying to make sure the public didn't get these records. The text messages from his wife. Nothing's going to come of it. And that's what's so damn troubling about it. We have all these instances of something stinking. Something smells wrong here. We've got evidence. We've got a paper trail. We've got receipts, as the kids say. And then nothing happens. We just move on. Get distracted by whatever Kardashian's doing, whatever. I mean, and that is an underlying problem here. If you can pinpoint what is wrong, you can prove what's going on is wrong, and then you just kind of turn the other way, that's also wrong. But I don't disagree. Nothing will happen. I doubt that this will be the one that takes him out of the Supreme Court. He'll be there as long as he wants to be there. And you know what? The one thing that is underlining for a lot of the individuals in this last few years of politics, shame means nothing. Some people have no ability to be shamed into thinking what they did was wrong whatsoever because there's no consequences. So they're just shoulder shrug and back to work. We'll get back to work after I get you caught up with CBS National News. We'll check back in with Ryan in the Kfgo News Center. Kyle Agri, Gone Outdoors, that's tomorrow. We'll get a preview from him right after this.
KFGO News, it's 34 degrees, cloudy and windy in Fargo-Moorhead. We're still under that wind advisory effective until 7 p.m. I'm Ryan Jenke. North Dakota Democrats have endorsed Bismarck attorney Fintan Dooley for Ag Commissioner. Dooley has been an environmental activist who has been pushing the issue of how oil development has poisoned some soils in the Williston Basin. He says he's running to start the conversation with current Ag Commissioner Doug Goring.
This is my last hurrah. And I believe that I'll handle myself very well in any discussion of this issue. And I'm ready to say, Mr. Secretary of Agriculture likely to be back again. If he only learns a little bit from this discussion, I'll be content. I don't plan on dislodging him.
Goring is seeking another term. A North Dakota boxer died Sunday following a bout in Rapid City. Laren Peoples of Dickinson and Williston was a contender in the elite male division at the South Dakota Golden Gloves boxing show on Saturday. USA Boxing said Peoples required medical attention after his match and died Sunday at a local hospital. North Dakota Local Boxing Committee President Danny Pernita ordered all affiliated gyms in North Dakota to close for one day in Peoples' memory. Peoples boxed out of the Dominion Boxing Gym in Dickinson and Combat Fitness in Williston. Students will soon be heading back to class in Minneapolis after the educators' unions and the school district reached a tentative contract agreement overnight. If ratified, it would put an end to an 18-day strike. The school district's website says students and staff will be welcomed back to school on Monday, pending a union vote. Both unions confirmed the tentative agreements shortly following the school district's announcement, calling it historic agreements. The union says it made major gains on pay for support staff, protections for educators of color, class size caps, and mental health supports. A study conducted by the North Dakota Association of Counties released yesterday surveyed sheriffs and chiefs of police around the state about recruitment and retention, an issue that has been persistent throughout the pandemic. The survey found that 60% of local law enforcement officials say they always or usually have a delay in filling job vacancies, with 70% of positions staying open for more than a month. Cass County Sheriff Jesse Johnner says the outlook for hiring is improving.
Things have been looking up a little bit for us lately. We have been able to hire 8 people since my last report of where we were down 25. So certainly we're moving in the right direction. There for a while, we certainly were seeing more people leaving that were coming into our agency. But now we're kind of getting a turnaround on that, and we're starting to see more applicants.
The primary shortage area for Cass County is in corrections. Johnner says high turnover in the jails leads to burnout for staff who need to cover additional shifts. But he says corrections is a good setting for officers to advance.
We have the luxury of hiring our patrol staff out of the jail, and that gives us a really good opportunity to onboard people and get them through that background process, get them into the jail, and then they can start to develop those law enforcement skills. One that's obviously really important to us is communication skills. And working in the jail really develops communication skills. So while our employees are working in the correctional setting, we can make a good evaluation of those that we feel will be a really good asset to our patrol division.
Johnner says that pre-pandemic, his department averaged around 9 openings at a time, so they're still digging out from the impacts of the last couple of years. The Minnesota DNR has reported that the 2 chicks on the Eagle Cam this year have hatched. The first chick hatched on Tuesday. Tuesday was one of the wettest days at the campsite, but that didn't stop the chick from emerging from the egg. Because of the cold, windy, and wet weather, the parents were sitting very tight and keeping the nest aerated in order to keep their young warm and dry. They wiggle their bodies to get the chicks close to the brood patch, the exposed skin on their bellies. The second egg hatched on Thursday at about midnight and has already had its first feeding. There is now a cache of food at the nest for feeding the 2 hungry chicks. Taking a look at the KFGO weather forecast. For the rest of today, we've still got those windy conditions. That wind advisory is in effect until 7. Temperatures will be falling throughout the afternoon. Northwest winds 30 to 40 miles per hour with gusts to around 50. Tonight, mostly clear, lows 15 to 20, and windy, north winds 20 to 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny, highs 25 to 30 with north winds 15 to 25 miles per hour. And then tomorrow night, mostly clear, lows 10 to 15. And on Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 35. Ryan Janke, News Radio, KFGO.
Tomorrow, 11 a.m. right here on KFGO is Gone Outdoors, but there's no need to wait to hear from one of those two. His name's Kyle Agri, joining us right now to give you a preview of what you can expect tomorrow on Gone Outdoors. Kyle, it's Friday afternoon. I'm glad to have you back on.
Hey, Tyler, life's good, isn't it? Spring is here.
Spring is here. Even when we had the day of like 40 degrees above, there was sun was in the air, little wind. It felt great out there. I'm eager for it to stick around, however, and it doesn't look like this weekend that's going to be the case. But I will live. I will get by, and we're getting there.
A little chilly in North Fargo here, north of the airport. There's actually some white stuff coming down out of the air right now at the moment. So,
you watch your mouth. I don't want to hear the word. I don't want to hear you utter what is coming down out there because I'm done with it. I'm over it. I'm moving on. Unfortunately,
me too. I'm with you.
Unfortunately, not a whole lot a guy or a gal can do about it. But it is nice. People are thinking about this springtime, summer activities, open water fishing. We're still quite a ways from that. I'm curious, have you been out and about? Have you checked depths? I mean, it's still been quite cold. I imagine ice is still okay out there.
You know, talking with some buddies, Tyler, this has got to be one of the years where we have gone from, full-fledged winter to we've got lakes where the ice is receding away from the shorelines.
Oh.
I actually know a fella who put an ATV through the ice on one of the lakes down in the Otter Tail Lakes country. It's happening quickly, and we've got to be careful. There is still places where a person can walk out and get out on the ice and do a little fishing, but time is kind of dwindling, and we've got to be careful if that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Be mindful of the conditions, just as you were at the beginning of winter. Well, now we're on the tail end, and conditions can change rapidly. I mean, the wind out there today, I'm sure, is drying up a lot of those fields, a lot of the ditches out there, probably breaking up some of that. If you have some of that pulling away already, I imagine this wind's doing some damage as well.
Yeah, you're right. Today is going to do a number on some of those lakes that have a little bit of room for that ice to move around, and it'll smash it up, and we might see some open water in the not too distant future.
I know some people are saying, just give me one more weekend, but as I just started the conversation, not me, but get that open water ready. I'm ready for it. Kyle, I got to ask you, I saw this headline. This is over in Illinois. A man caught a 140-pound paddlefish, setting the new fishing record in Missouri. I'm curious, have you ever gone paddle fishing?
I'll admit I have gone paddle fishing, but only one time, Tyler. It was about 20 years ago out near Williston.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to be out there for work, and one of the gentlemen that was one of the locals out there knew that I had never been, and he said, okay, I'll take you. We're going after work. And so we did. We went out to the Missouri, or the Little Missouri. I don't even remember which one it was. It was right near the confluence of those two rivers. And we went out and tried it, but not successful, but I can say that I've tried.
Yeah, I've got a friend, people have heard him on these airways over at Heritage Insurance, that he used to do it regularly. I don't know that he's been back out there. Family, he's got kids now, so he doesn't probably get that far out there. I think it was more of a just party when he was out there. I have no doubt you were out there meeting business. You were working, he said. Can you imagine 140 pounds?
I can't. 140-pound fish. And here's the deal, Tyler. When people are fishing for paddlefish, these fish they're filter feeders. They eat plankton. They eat very, very small organisms. So we don't catch them with a hook and line in the mouth. Yeah. The most common way to catch them is snag them, right? So you get a big treble hook in the side or the tail of one of these paddlefish, I mean, it is game on. They are not going to be happy about it. And 140 pounds of fish can put one heck of a battle up.
Yeah, I'm thinking my rotator cuff doesn't exist at the end of that fight. It's gone. My shoulder's wrecked is what I'm thinking. I'm looking at the guy. He's all smiles, understandably. I guess he's an Illinois guy, happened in Missouri at a trip there, so I want to correct that statement there. But, yeah, he looks happy, and that's a big fish. He's a big boy, so I'm sure they had a hell of a fight.
Well, can you imagine, though? It's the fight on the rod and reel, but then when you get that fish up close to the shoreline, you're thinking the game is almost done. There's no way, because that fish is not going to want to come up onto the bank. And one guy, I can't imagine, would be able to handle and tame a 140-pound fish.
I couldn't imagine either. I imagine he had a couple buddies help him hoist it up to where he's holding it above his chest as well, because he's got the lean back like, hey, this is heavy, fellas. Take the photo quick because I can't hold her.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow, Gone Outdoors at 11 a.m., always on Saturday. What can people expect for tomorrow's show?
Well, we love it. We love all our listeners listening in for Outdoor Talk every Saturday. And tomorrow, we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to talk a little fishing, of course, but we're also going to talk a little bit of hunting, and we're going to have a chance to visit with Casey Anderson, the North Dakota Game and Fish Wildlife Division Chief. He's going to tell us a little bit about how winter surveys went, hunter success, and how all of that is coming together to fill out projections for the 2022 deer season. So some real good insight there coming from Casey. We'll talk with Jordan Marsh of Marsh Outdoors. He's a turkey hunting extraordinaire. He's an expert in that area. He's going to give us some tips. Turkey hunting, spring turkey hunting is coming up real soon here, about 3-4 weeks away for most of the states here in the Midwest. And so we'll get some insight on that. We'll visit with Marissa Jensen, Education and Outreach Manager for Pheasants and Quail Forever. She's going to talk about Women on the Wing. It's an outdoor program for women. It sounds like a really, really cool program and a really neat group of individuals there. So we're going to talk outdoors, talk hunting, and have a great time doing it.
You know, back to you're talking about the surveys, game and fish when it comes to the next deer season. I'd thrown this out there because a couple of weeks ago I was at the Valley City Winter Show. I took Highway 1 all the way up to Dakota, and around the I think it was the Cooperstown area. I have not seen so many deer just out casually having a snack on that drive that I've seen in a long time. I know that's not universal. I know not every spot is having as robust of a population as deer, but some spots, they're out there, man. So I hope they take that into account as they do put more tickets out next year.
I hope so too, and that's one of the questions I have for Casey is what part of the state has an abundance of deer, but then we had a lot of talk about the EHD last year in some of the areas, and what effects did that have as well. So I'm sure he'll have some great insight.
Very good. Well, I'll be listening to learn a little bit more, Kyle. Appreciate your time as always, my friend. We'll be listening tomorrow and chat to you soon.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you do the same. Kyle Agri, Scott Brewer, they're both Gone Outdoors. You can catch that again every Saturday right here at 11 a.m. on KFGO. Get you some of these messages. If you haven't heard this message, text MEAT 35270. Get entered into the meat raffle that we're doing on this show every Thursday. It takes two every Tuesday. Only have to register once. You'll get a link to where you can go and get all of the latest there. It's a good time. A lot of people already registered over the 24 hours we've been live. We want you to join in on that fun as well. Afternoons Live is rolling on. This is KFGO Fargo. I'm going to let the Bellany brothers get you there. Well, we are about 5 minutes away from the latest KFGO news update. That means we're half hour to that 5 o'clock punch out, so get ready. We're getting there slowly but surely in this awkward week that it's been. This wind, the only way you can describe it is annoying wind. I'm hoping that maybe tomorrow, when it's sunny and a high of, where are we at, 25 to 30, north wind 15 to 25. Sorry if I'm stepping on your forecast back there. But it'll be hopefully, at least the sun will be shining. One thing that's not been shining for a lot of people, March Madness brackets. We talked a little bit about the fact that UND, heartbreaking loss when on the ice last night, Notre Dame. Had opportunities, couldn't pull it out, lost in the extra there. But if you were watching, it's Friday afternoon clearly, I'm like, where am I going with this?
Overtime.
Overtime. I was saying like extra period. Extra innings? What sport am I talking about? Where am I? KFGO studio. Good grief. Did you watch any of the March Madness basketball after?
I did watch.
God.
I watched the end of that Gonzaga game and the end of the Duke game.
And then you had Houston beating Arizona. So it's been an interesting tournament this year. And now later on, I'm rooting for Providence. Get the Jayhawks out of there. That's my stick. And you know what? I've been a Tar Heel guy. They're taking on UCLA, number 8, North Carolina. Come on, raise up. So I'll be watching that a little bit later on. It's fun. It's been an entertaining. I mean, my bracket was busted night 1.
When Kentucky lost. Well, and now everybody's. With Arizona and Gonzaga leaving the tournament, that's got to be a lot of brackets busted.
Unless you have Kansas and the Jayhawks, then you're probably still alive. Everyone else... But at least you had a little bit more fun than I did as I was watching that first night in Kentucky getting walloped. But that is life as you just watched this tournament. That's why they call it Madness of March. 237-5948 is the Laney studio line. A lot of meets coming into 35270. I'd like to see that. Click on that link that's provided back in the response to the text to make sure you finalize your registration. Then be listening Tuesday on It Takes Two, Thursday on Afternoons Live. We're pulling out 3 names each on Tuesday and on Thursday as well. Then we're getting you all the way to April 21st. That's going to be where the party is over at Bar 9. Again, thank you to Barnesville Grocery for sponsoring the meat that's provided throughout this meat raffle here on KFGO. Get you caught up with that KFGO news when we come back. Whatever you want to talk about, you, me, this microphone, your cell phone, getting into that 5 o'clock punch out. I'm Tyler Raxis, your host, Eric Johnson. He's your producer. Another half hour with you right here on KFGO.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Otter Tail Power Company, positively impacting communities they serve for more than a century.
KFGO News, it's 34 degrees, cloudy in Fargo-Moorhead and windy. Wind advisory in effect until 7 p.m. I'm Ryan Jenke. Breckenridge Police and Wilkin County Sheriff's Department have provided updated information about a reported domestic violence call on Wednesday. Police Chief Chris Carlgard says an altercation occurred between a husband and wife at their Breckenridge residence. Officers found a 28-year-old male dead inside his home. Investigators determined that the male died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. No one was arrested during the incident, and there is no threat to the public. The body was taken to the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's office for an autopsy. A Fargo woman faces 3 felony charges, including reckless endangerment, domestic violence, and fleeing police after a disturbance Tuesday morning. Police were called to the 1400 block of 18th Avenue South, and the victim identified the suspect involved as Dania Manning of Fargo. She fled as police arrived, but was later tracked down in the 300 block of 30th Avenue South. Manning was arrested on unrelated warrants and taken to the Cass County Jail. You're listening to KFGO News. .34 degrees, cloudy and windy in Fargo-Moorhead. This is KFGO News. Bismarck police have provided the name of the victims and some additional details about a shooting death in an apartment parking lot on Wednesday morning. Police say they reported to shots fired in a northwest side neighborhood and found 22-year-old Michael Shane dead of a gunshot wound in the parking lot of an apartment complex there. A witness told police that 26-year-old Kyle Riley shot the man from the window of a pickup truck. Riley was arrested around noon Wednesday afternoon after a traffic stop. Later in the afternoon, an investigation led officers to locate a 30-year-old witness and found that he had also sustained a gunshot wound, though it was not life-threatening. He was taken to a local hospital by ambulance. Police say Riley and Shane knew each other. Riley is being held on a charge of murder at the Burley Morton Detention Center. Charges in the second shooting are pending. House Democrats are proposing a $150 million to address Minnesota's crime wave, with $86 million of that going to the 20 municipalities, tribal governments, and counties with the highest crime rates, most in greater Minnesota. The sponsor, Representative Cedric Frazier, says the bill would provide funding to outfit every Minnesota officer with a body camera. There's also money for community crime prevention, social workers for every mental health call, mobile crisis teams, and investigations of officer misconduct. Republican Brian Johnson says Democrats have yet to bring a single public safety bill to the House floor, and that none of their proposals would do anything to increase accountability for repeat violent crimes or for judges and prosecutors who hand out light sentences. The interim president of Sanford Health says new population numbers are showing the demand and need for healthcare services will be increasing in the next several years. Speaking at the Midwest Economic Outlook Summit, Tiffany Lawrence says the healthcare industry employs 22 million people, and there are predictions those numbers will grow by 16% by the year 2030. She says for North Dakota, that means 30% of the state's population will be over the age of 60 by that time. Lawrence says prior to the pandemic, Sanford was on track to win the workforce battle, but then the pandemic hit. She says the high demands of the job during the pandemic prompted many longtime employees to retire. Lawrence says traveling nurses have helped fill some of the need, but it demanded the creation of new strategies.
Currently today, we only graduate about 400 nurses a year. We're not graduating enough to fill the need. we could take all 400 of those students today. So obviously we're expanding our border. We've hired about 270 international nurses. We have 2 that are here so far. It's a very lengthy process. It takes over 9-10 months to get them through consulate, get them into the country.
Lawrence says the international healthcare workers will be required to work 3 years with Sanford. She says at that point they are hoping the workers will stay with Sanford and stay within the community. Taking a look at the KFGO weather forecast, again, that wind advisory is in effect until 7 p.m. For the rest of today, temperatures falling through the afternoon, very windy, northwest winds 30 to 40 miles per hour with gusts to around 50. Tonight, mostly clear, lows 15 to 20 and windy, north winds 20 to 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny, highs 25 to 30, north winds 15 to 25. Tomorrow night, mostly clear, lows 10 to 15, and then on Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 35. From the KFGO newsroom, I am Ryan Jenke.
Get you caught up with CBS National News as I ponder this selection of bump music from Eric. When we come back, we found three cool things. Some good news that we'll share. Did you see the viral video of that red Chevy Silverado and the tornado? Then they just miraculously drove away after spinning and spinning and spinning. There's an update to that story. Also, a person that was in coma. I'll tell you more about all that and more in the final 20 minutes of Afternoons Live right after this. You know, at first I was, Dolly Parton, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, is it a good fit? Then when she came out and said, hey, thanks, but no thanks, that's pretty rock and roll. And then they said, well, too bad you're still...
Yeah, accidentally rock and roll.
Okay, you became a rock and roll legend, Dolly, by saying, nah, I'm good. I don't think I deserve this. You became a legend right there. Want to know about another legend that you saw this week? Down in Texas, they've had some severe weather. And there was a tornado, and you saw the video. And you probably saw this video of a teenager, 16-year-old Riley Leon, was driving a red Chevy Silverado, caught in this tornado, spun and spun and spun on its side, ended up back on all four wheels, and he drove away. He just drove away in this red Chevy Silverado.
Watching that video, if you told me that it came from a movie, I would have said that. Well, that seems ridiculous.
Yeah, this is something you see in like the hit movie of the 1990-something Twister. Star-studded movie, Twister.
Good call. Good call.
But yeah, no, this is real life. And of course, now everybody, because it's Chevy, and we talked about how every pickup commercial, it's all the same about driving this rugged. You just went through this rough patch. Nobody's went through a rougher patch than 16-year-old Riley Leon, and you just hear Seeger in the background as he's just driving away from a tornado. That truck was strong, too.
I cannot imagine what was going through his brain while that was happening.
No, but here's the update. Yeah, thankfully not hurt. Truck like a rock. That's what those Chevys are, man. I'm telling you. But he was on his way to a new job. And, he had that situation. Well, he's now got the job, and Chevy's getting him the new truck.
They should.
Yeah,
as they should.
Thank you, Chevy.
Yes,
Thanks to the individuals that are hiring him as well, which, of course, I think, was it Whataburger? I think is the job. Yeah, he was going home from a job interview at Whataburger, which I've never had Whataburger. I've been to places where they've had Whataburger. Never had one. I don't know if it's any good, but they're good people to be hiring him after this crazy, crazy situation. If you haven't seen the video, I don't know how you've missed it. I mean, it's been all over nightly news. If you are anywhere online, you have seen this video of that red Chevy Silverado. Insane, but I'm glad he got the job, glad he got the new truck, and I'm glad that he was safe, first and foremost. All right, let's go on to a different one here. This this guy was paralyzed because of ALS, serious situation, but here's where the beauty of science has come in. A completely paralyzed man was left unable to communicate for months after losing the ability to even move his eyes, has now gotten brain implants that helps him now communicate with his caregivers. So like the technology that you get implants that, can trigger off the neurons, all that stuff. So he was with his caregivers, and he's able to compose sentences at a rate of just one character per minute. So, I mean, we're a long ways up. Yeah.
But still, the fact that you go from completely unable to even communicate with eye movement,
I know,
to being able to, I've seen where they'll use programmable prosthetics that you can teach with a brainwave pattern to open and close a prosthetic hand or do things like that.
But to communicate, that's a whole.
This is unreal.
The man is 36 years old, had 2 square electrode surgically implanted into his brain to facilitate communication after being left in just this terrible situation. So now he's able to communicate. The first thing he asked his caregivers, I want a beer.
Good for him.
So and then he goes, caregivers, give me a beer. Then he wanted to listen to Tool.
Ooh,
the band, which I've given you my thoughts on Tool. Of bands that have songs that are way too long that I lose interest after 3 minutes, Tool. If you could condense that down into a 3-minute song instead of a 13-minute song, you'd captivate me. They haven't figured that out yet.
But
a friend just went to Tool in concert and said phenomenal, by the way.
But this is showing you that we're so close to the cusp of combating some of these seemingly terminal diagnoses. You said it was ALS.
ALS.
That was the ice bucket challenge, right?
Correct.
Which leaped that research forward exponentially.
Millions of dollars after millions of buckets poured on people's heads. So if you took part in that, perhaps some of that research to get this brain implant into this guy so he can communicate. Lastly, what he had asked for was just a head massage from his mother. So, it's like moving stuff. But hey, science, good job. Awesome, dude.
That's science fiction 3 years ago.
Uh-huh. And now, the guy is able to communicate after being paralyzed for all that time to not be able to communicate at all, to at least being able to, even if it takes time, to get your wishes communicated to those caregivers of your family right there is a long ways off. Going to get you this weather update. Eric Johnson will take care of that. He'll tell you about the weather coming up this weekend. And we'll see what's coming up on the Drive Time News with Eric Johnson, who's going to steer you right into Game On Hockey. Travis Dunn came waltzing in here. We'll see what's coming up on his show. Timberwolves versus Dallas. That's going to be taking over these airwaves at 6:30 p.m. on a Friday evening on KFGO.